Another one is that doppelgangers give malicious advice. Doppelgangers are generally seen as bad omens, even if they don't specifically mean death. Many have always believed that a doppelganger is basically an evil twin. They supposedly attempt to purposely give you bad advice in a malicious way. They might also try to plant sinister ideas in their victim's mind. According to ancient pages, one of the earliest references of this idea is found in the Zurbanite branch of Zoroastrianism. The site says, in this cosmological model, the twins Ahura Mazda and Angra Mainyu were co-eternal representatives of good and evil. Now, if seen by someone else, doppelgangers might mean you are deathly ill. You're not off the hook if someone else spots your doppelganger. Linda Derry, site director of the old... Linda Derry, site director of the old Cahaba ghost town in Alabama and a curator of folklore originating from that region, told Atlas Obscura, if someone else saw your doppelganger, it could mean that you may be very ill.
Oh. I don't want to be ill.
Which makes me wonder, when I saw Danny's doppelgangers, if he was getting sick. I wish I had a time frame so I could compare. I don't. Another thing that people believe is doppelgangers...
Well, I mean, he's your friend. He's already a little sick.
Well, that's probably true.
Oh, hey, what?
Sorry, go ahead.
Doppelgangers are ghosts of people who lived before you that look like you. One of the other ancient myths say a doppelganger is essentially a ghostly double of you who lived before you do, which is very creepy to think about. It comes from Norse mythology, and the doppelganger is there called a Vardoger. According to ancient pages, the stories of Vardoger describe incidents that are basically deja vu in reverse, where a spirit with the subject's footsteps, voice, scent, or appearance, and overall demeanor precedes them in a location or activity, resulting in witnesses believing that they've seen or heard the actual person before the person physically arrives.
Interesting.
Just
sounds like a good way to get yourself in trouble without even doing anything, to be totally honest.
You just bombarded my mind.
Well, see, here's the thing. I think I have a Vardoger, and I'll tell you why. When I was on the road doing stand-up, people would come up to me and say things like, I saw that series you were in. And when people would say stuff like that to me, I would not disabuse them of the notion that I'd been in any series. I would just nod, because it was easier. Otherwise, you have to explain, no, I wasn't. And sometimes people think that you're trying to deny it because the series was bad or whatever. No, I just wasn't in it. So rather than have that argument, I would just nod. Okay, yeah, you saw it. He's like, that series really sucked. You're so much better live. And I would go, well, thank you.
That's right.
Because what else am I going to say?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Why fight with them about it when you could really just, say, hey, cool.
We both walked away feeling good about the conversation. They feel like they told me information, so I won't be in that series anymore, which I wasn't in it in the first place, so I'm really not in it now. And it worked out for us. So there you go.
There you go.
Now, another belief is doppelgangers are your spiritual double. And this, again, it's the Egyptian theory of the Ka, is that... but yeah, that's why the Egyptians mummified their dead, is if they kept the body from decomposing, the spiritual double had somewhere to live. But if the body decayed, the spiritual double would die, and the deceased would lose their chance at eternal life.
I see.
Doppelgangers are your doppelgangers are evil doubles from the underworld. The Native American myth said the doppelganger is basically your evil double from the underworld. Native American myths say that there's an upper world and an underworld. The good people live in the upper world and the evil people in the underworld. The Hopi legend refers to twins called Child of the Sun and Child of the Water. The Hopi also believe that whatever is happening in the upper world, the opposite is happening in the underworld. So if the upper world, there's a great famine, then in the underworld, there is plenty. But if in the underworld there's a great famine, in the upper world there is plenty.
I see.
Okay.
Even portrait doppelgangers are bad news.
Oh, of course they are.
Today it's pretty common to find old portraits and paintings of someone who looks exactly like someone living now. Think super old portraits of a person who looks just like a popular celebrity. This isn't a great sign either. The Canelos Indians of South America hated portraiture and photography because they believed pictures captured the soul of the person, and this is still a belief today. Because many cultures see portraiture as a representation of the soul, they believe that soul picture become the double. So seeing your double in that regard, they can take you over. According to Supernatural magazine, doppelgangers are proof of our alternate universes. A doppelganger could represent a parallel universe in which everything in this world is replicated in another dimension. Seeing the doppelganger could be a moment when we're able to witness the other dimension. In fact, Columbia University physicist Brian Greene, author of the book The Hidden Reality, Parallel Universes and the Deep Laws of the Cosmos, says that we all have doppelgangers.
A lot of people believe that one too.
Yep, lots of people. All the peoples. All God's children has peoples.
Okay.
So let's bring this to a close, shall we? I think we shall.
Yes.
Okay.
There's lots of examples of doppelgangers out there. There's lots of beliefs about doppelgangers out there. And there's even a couple of stories we didn't cover just because they don't add anything to the conversation, really, in my opinion.
Okay.
But when I think of a doppelganger, I guess my mind goes to one of two things. Either the alternate universe theory, because I think about that a lot. And that the idea that maybe our universes are separated by like just a pancake of atoms, just a thin crepe of atoms. Mm-hmm. Not thick, not fluffy, just not much there. Mm-hmm. And that occasionally things break through.
I see.
And
yep.
I think that explains your missing 411. That's the levels of reality I'm talking about. Is that explains your missing 411, your ghosts, your UFOs. They're all from other points of other universes, the alternate universes. Mm-hmm. They've broken through that pancake, that crepe, into our reality, and then they have to get back. So, a doppelganger is someone who, from another reality, has popped up in your place. Now, that's my theory. The other thing might be, I would say, is to me, it's a sign of time displacement. Like, mm-hmm. There's a fairly famous story of a guy, early days of flight, maybe 1920s or so. He flew over this airbase that was supposed to be closed down. Well, he looks down, and there's people in uniforms he doesn't recognize, and planes he doesn't quite recognize. Mm-hmm. And so he flies back, he lands. Well, that base was reactivated a few years later with new uniforms and new planes, and that matched his description perfectly. So there are some time displacements here and there on our planet, I believe, and it's possible that maybe you see you from another time, just in a moment where the walls of the universe get a little thin, you see each other, and then you have that moment of, we shouldn't have seen each other.
Right.
And that could be why you die, is because all of a sudden, like, everything's focused on you, you know? Mm. And I don't know how many people will stand up well to that sort of scrutiny.
Yeah, no.
But those are just theories. At the end of the day, doppelgangers, like a lot of things, I think are very subjective, and I believe they're a thing, but I'm kind of open to these kind of thoughts. A skeptic would point out that there's not a lot of evidence to support that these people did anything more than hallucinate, and I suppose I have to agree with that, but the level of detail other people talk about when they talk about these things doesn't sound like hallucination to me. It sounds like they saw something, and something they believed very wholeheartedly, and I think there's a reason for that. Krista, or Honey, whichever one of you wants to go.
Oh, I've said enough. I'm good. Just Krista can go.
What do you mean you've said enough?
I said enough.
I don't think you've said enough.
You guys heard my thoughts on all of it.
Yeah, but, you want to put a summary together so that, nobody...
Okay, well, let my Krista go.
Okay.
Doppelgangers. Well, I just think that, it could be possible that they are you from a different universe. Could also just be you hallucinating in some way of thinking that, there's a lot of possibilities that a lot of people don't really talk about or think about. But I think I don't know if it's me knowing someone that looked like me once. But me personally, I think it's real. Oh God, I don't know what much more to say about that. It's just...
Krista, you're allowed to say, I think it's real, and leave it at that. You don't have to explain yourself.
No.
There's nothing to explain. If that's what you believe, I support you. I'm glad.
Yeah, I don't see why it couldn't be. There's always possibilities.
Take our friend Kara from Drunk Theory, okay? Very nice person, very down to earth. But maybe in another universe, she's a politician, right? And maybe at some point, Kara from our universe will get drunk enough, or the universe will clear away, because Kara's on that show, Drunk Theory, so she does get drunk.
She does, yes.
I'm not trying.
You're not casting aspersions on Kara. She would own it, because Kara's the girl.
Yeah, she is.
Absolutely.
And Drunk Theory is a great show. You should listen. I'm just saying, they just dropped an episode on fairies. It's funnier than Anyway, point is, if she sees her doppelganger that is a politician, that is upright, proper, and dressed in a three-piece suit with to the nines and wearing fancy hair,
she's gonna point and laugh.
She is. Or she might not even recognize herself like that,
Yeah.
She might go, well, wow, she kind of looks like me, but I'd never wear that outfit.
Exactly.
I don't feel comfortable on that.
Yeah, Kara point and laugh.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's certainly a thing.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't know how it works necessarily. So if you believe it's a real thing, Christy, then I support that belief all the way. At 12, you've done a great job of explaining your thoughts. As you get older and learn more, you'll be able to stretch that out a little bit, but you don't need to.
Okay. Yeah, this isn't school reports. I'm gonna be going into 7th grade, people. I need to...
Yes, and school always wants you to find an answer. The one thing school doesn't prepare you for is sometimes in life the answer